of you who've been alive for a few years, ask yourself this: do you have more time now in 2010, 2011 than you did back in the 1900s? Honestly, those of you who were alive in the 70s and saw the advent of computers and how computers were going to be able to do everything for us, yes, they do amazing things. But are they not, in a small way now, your master? Look at people who have these, I don't even know what the technical term of the fancy cell phones that you can do things on, that have the screen you can touch. These folks, when you have a conversation with them, are constantly looking at their phone. Every question you ask them, they pull out their phone and say, "Let me Google that for you." It's to a person or to a being who has seen different technologies, different fads come and go over the last 3,500 years on this planet. And I don't know if fad is only a word that's used in America or not. I know that Vince and Prince always joke around about it, because the common joke, well, I'm not going to get into that. You've got to, at some point, wean yourself from technology. Now, I know this sounds crazy coming from your computer, because you're probably going to be watching this on YouTube, or depending on who Vince gives this to, maybe just downloading it as an audio file onto your computer, but it will be computerized. At some point, I asked, the technology exists. Vince, I can't tell you how to do it, but the technology exists out there. I chose these cassette tapes for a very specific purpose. I like something physical. I like the idea that what I'm saying is small specks of iron ferrite being pulled up on a magnetic tape to record and later play back what I'm saying, as opposed to a series of zeros and ones. When the societies previous to the one that exists now on the planet have risen up and become prominent, they have recorded, for the most part, things of importance to them in stone, in something that they felt like would, or gold, or a metal that they felt like would wear for a long time. But most of them, I want to keep on point here, carved these things in stone. Now, right now on the planet, speech is easy to come by. It's very easy to find out what your neighbor thinks, or what the celebrity that you happen to like is doing right now, because of all this technology that exists. Correct? Am I wrong? No, of course I'm not. We've been trained over the last 3 decades to be reliant on these devices. I remember when the internet got going, and there was a service called it was like, I think the term was Prodigy or OL. America Online was what it stood for. And people would get this, and they would begin receiving emails. And it would play a little speech that said, "You've got mail." And I would ask them, do you not hear the other thing that is being said whenever it says, "You've got mail"? Very few humans, excuse me, I almost called you Hermans, could hear that subliminal undercurrent in that small little audio clip. And what that does is very similar to when humans go into what you would call a casino. Lots of blinking lights in succession and sounds that are all put together to coax you on almost a subconscious level to want to stay there, to enjoy that place, to enjoy that device, to enjoy that sound, that feeling. You get that feeling of anticipation and excitement that so many of you get from your electronics. The first time I saw anybody line up to purchase a computer device is very interesting to me, because I don't think that most of the people in that line waiting to buy this new phone, they didn't, everyone I saw had a phone. They had technology. They wanted the next best thing, and they wanted to be the first one to have the next best thing, and they were willing to take a day off work and stand there in the freezing cold or the blistering sun with all the other nerds and wait for this technology? And I thought to myself, at the end of the road for these people, just like every other being in the galaxy, you get to the end and you realize that the most important asset, the most important thing, really, is time. Because time allows you to develop relationships, to fall in love, to seek out things that excite you or that are of interest to you, things that you want to do, things that you want to have and possess. And when you get to the end, you really cannot take any of these physical possessions with you. It's very interesting to me because people who have developed this technology so that they can have more time, so they can be more free and have more free time. Sorry about that clip there. I had to grab a cup of coffee. It's actually very cold here today. I don't know what the temperature is. For those of you that know me or have heard the long tapes that I did, you understand that I have never really felt what you would consider warm on your planet. This is a very cold place out here on the edge. So my point with all the technology stuff is just that you have to be prepared. Maybe 2012 will come around and nothing will happen. Maybe. But experience and history has shown otherwise. And those of you who understand the concept of odds or statistics, let me put it to you in that context. The chances of something catastrophic happening to your planet over the next 1,000 days are pretty close to 50-50. Okay? That means something that would cause mass extinction of humans. About 50-50 over the next about 1,000 days. Okay? The chances of something happening that would disrupt a large area of your planet, I'm talking about the size of a continent, are about, over the next 1,000 days, the probability is probably north of 90%. Now, it's only prudent with those statistics, with that research, with that historical data that so many of you have researched on your own, that it's only prudent to take certain precautions. And that's all I'm trying to say. If nothing happens, you can blame me. So, the point to all this, to everything that I do in these tapes, is 3 key points I have always tried to make in every single recording I've done. Number 1, I'm here to help you people. There are a lot of beings on your planet, above you in the stars, waiting to help you, wanting to help you as a species come to this next level. Problem is that so many of you are still unconscious about what reality really is. Oh yeah, that's a bold statement for me to say, but it's true. I run into very few truly conscious people. Most people, and a good example is, I will hear people say to someone, "Hi, how are you?" And the other person will say, "Fine, how are you?" And they'll say, "Fine, how are you?" It bounces back and forth, sometimes a couple of times. People very rarely say to the other person, "I'm doing horrible. Do you really want to hear how awful my life is right now?" No one wants to hear how awful anyone else's life is right now, because especially in these days, most people have a sob story of some sort. It's part of your nature. It's part of the reason why you're on this planet. It's part of the reason why all of us exist, is to make choices. How we deal with the good and the bad determine where our souls will go after all this. And that's not religion talking, ladies and gentlemen. You all know this to be true. Any of you who convince yourself that there's nothing after this existence, it's like a candle being blown out, you know in your heart of hearts, in the depths of your soul, that that is not actually the case. You feel yourself growing on a spiritual level and shrinking on a spiritual level on a day in, day out basis. That ebb and flow is particles of the ones, of who we all are. That part of our planet that is not of physical makeup, that is not of matter, but that is of spirit, that connects us all and binds us and gives us free will and makes us sentient, free-thinking beings. connects us all. Isn't that interesting? The exact thing that makes us different or individuals is the exact same thing that binds us all together, as what I like to term brothers and sisters. Because in a grand scheme, there is no mother or father. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all trying to do the best that we can within our own context of what we believe is right. Yes, I know that sounds iffy to say, but think about it this way. Those people you know who are real jerks, who go out of their way to treat people poorly and make other people feel uncomfortable, which is the common trait I find in this type of individual, is that they enjoy making the other person feel defensive or uncomfortable by saying rude or inappropriate or mean-spirited or things that might come off as a double entendre or something, in the hopes that they will make people around them uncomfortable, and that in turn makes them feel comfortable. They're doing what they believe is right. Now, true, they may know that they're being a jerk, but they're doing it because that's the only way they've learned how to deal with people. Many of you that I run into use curse words, as you call them. There are some in the music community who they speak of things that I think they just should not be spoken of by decent people. In my experience, again, is that at some point in their life, acting like a spoiled brat got them what they wanted, and now, whenever things get difficult, or whenever they're in a position where they really need something, that's the only way they know about going about getting what it is they're looking for. Now, unfortunately, over history, what it's shown me on this planet, my 3,500 years here, is that a great many individuals who have risen to power display that particular trait in their personality. Spoiled brat syndrome. When people become powerful, one of the first things they do, if they become rich or influential, what I call powerful, I don't know if other people would think of just having a lot of money as being power, but one of the first things they do is lash out at people who have criticized them during their lives. They cut ties with anyone who is going to tell them, hey, you're stepping over the line, you're acting unreasonable here. And there are plenty of people waiting in the wings to be their yes men or yes women. Yes, absolutely, that idea is great. That's spectacular. If the people don't like it, they just don't understand your wisdom and your knowledge. And sometimes leaders have to act without explaining themselves. Now, it looks to me like on this little cassette, like the tape's going to run out, so I'm going to try to finish for this side, and then I'll just flip it over, I guess, and just hit record again. But it's important, I think, for people to understand that on a base level, the leaders, those that you would consider the powers that be on your planet, especially those in the banking community who feel untouchable by both law and morality, will have nowhere to hide over the next couple of years. They, by and large, are individuals who really can't fend for themselves. They live very extravagant lifestyles. Many of them can't cook their own food. They can't properly care for themselves. They can't maintain their own vehicles. They can't maintain their own living quarters. They hire others to do all these things for them. And it's going to be particularly difficult for them, for a lot of these rich people who have always felt like no matter what happened, their money, those fools who have been collecting gold, that their gold will keep them safe and provide them with the sustenance that they need. It's preposterous. Alright, the tape's gonna end. I can see it. It's like at the end. I'm just gonna keep recording. I am going to tell you everything I know about the Lyran Wars. I'm going to tell you everything I know about the pyramids and the Sphinx in Giza in Egypt. I'm going to tell you everything I know about the Mayans. I'm going to tell you everything that I know about the lost cities of Lemuria and Atlantis, as you call them here on Earth. I'm going to tell you about Nibiru. I'm going to tell you about Anunnaki legends and lore and myths. And I am going to hopefully